All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. Look at my face, okay? This should tell you that I have a couple topics that I'm really excited to talk about because there are very few things in the world that aggravate me more than people pretending to be things that they're not, all right? And I'm gonna talk about one thing that I know a lot about, which is business. We're gonna talk about Dan Bilzerian's profit and loss sheet because looks like he burned through all of the money that he raised for his marijuana growing business. And he seems like a cool guy. We're going to talk about, what seems to have been the ultimate marketing budget in history and how somehow the marketing budget still doesn't even equal the amount of money that he reported as a loss in his business. I don't have any idea how this is even possible. Okay, so we'll talk about Dan Bilzerian's business and what's going on there. Then we're going to talk about, so when I was making characterizations about people pretending to be things or not, that wasn't in relation to Dan Bilzerian. This was in relation to Mia Khalifa, okay? So I did a video the other day about Mia Khalifa, and I've got a young guy who's a stud who helps manage my social media in some cases. I mean, it seems ridiculous given the size of these social media outlets, but we're getting there, all right? All right, we got a lot of followers on TikTok, not like Dan Bilzerian, but maybe his are bought through some illicit means. I don't know, we'll talk about it. But anyway, I did this video about Mia Khalifa and I talked about her, her history because she was making some pretty outlandish claims about her former career and how she was manipulated into it. Basically, she's a victim. She has been victimized. And I characterized her as a fake victim and a victim of victim culture. That's the only victim that she is she has been victimized by the YouTube algorithm with a bunch of SJWs who are going to tell you that every decision that you've ever made is not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Nothing's your fault. If you feel bad, if you feel regret about a decision in 2020, all you have to do is source back whoever presented that option to you, and it's their fault, right? So someone gives you an opportunity, you decide to take that opportunity. If 7 years later, you decide that you wish you hadn't done that, then it is the fault of the person who presented you the opportunity. That makes perfect sense, right? That's 2020. That is how logic works in 2020, right? So I did a video about her and, I talked about her porn career and why I think she was so successful. And I'm not necessarily sure it's just all about the things that everyone thinks, which is like, that she did scenes in a hijab, which is pretty disrespectful, but also, provocative enough that in an industry like the porn industry generated a lot of eyeballs, right? But so given that situation and the where I was going with that, I apologize, is I made some characterizations about her performing and why I thought she was, why she had done so well. And he told me, I don't think you understand how big of a following she has among the feminists. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, they're serious about Mia Khalifa. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. So I did a little bit of research. I looked into her background, right? Like I went on her TikTok and kind of looked. She has some fanatical supporters. And so I chickened out. Very rare. Very rare for me to chicken out. But I chickened out. I was like, man, I don't want to jump on this train. I don't need to get dogpiled by a bunch of feminists before I've gotten my profile up. You know what I mean? Once I get the profile up, bring it. Because you know what my answer is, right? You know what my answer is? Oh, wait, what? I'm sorry. What did you say? Wait, what? That sounds pretty transphobic to me, okay? Whatever accusations you're throwing at me sounds like veiled transphobia, okay? Am I transphobic? No, of course not. What are you talking about? But if I was, whose business would that be? You are making me very uncomfortable. I am picking up on some low frequency transphobia. Is that what you're trying to put out? They're like, we're talking about your video. That's the answer with those people, okay? Throw out transphobia at them. And that will, if they're making an accusation at you that is unmerited, throw one right back at them, okay? So here we go. So if you like this channel, subscribe and ring the bell. I have a feeling that you're going to go, who is this guy? Then you're going to look at the rest of my content. You're like, oh, I don't even know what UFC is. And then you're not going to subscribe. But if you like UFC and then you watch this content, or maybe you're going to be like, gosh, this guy's personality is so awesome that maybe I'll just learn about UFC so I can listen to this guy talk. So let's start with Mia Khalifa, Dan Bilzerian. Ooh, I don't know. Dan Bilzerian, okay? So Dan Bilzerian, who, if you're unaware who he is, I gotta be honest with you. I'm gonna be straight with everybody, okay? I learned who Dan Bilzerian was like 18 months ago, okay? And someone looked at me like I was from outer space, that I didn't know who he was. I guess, I mean, honestly, like knowing who he is now and then looking at me, you would assume that I would know who he is. But if you really know me, you would know I don't concern myself with what other people are doing. Like another person who looks like me, you know, there's not a lot of room for me in the room, right? Like, like I get along with people who are wired like me, but if you're like kind of too much, then I would make it a point not to pay attention to what you're doing, because I wouldn't want to give you the satisfaction. Not that he cares what I'm like, you know, not implying that Dan Bilzerian cares if I'm looking at him, but I just wouldn't look at him because I just, you know what I mean? Like, it seems weird to me that people would. But anyway, so, you know, that out of the way, didn't really know who he was, but then learned who he was. And I was like, oh, I saw him on Joe Rogan. I'm like, oh, he seems cool. But like, I'm not going to be like a guy who's looking at his Instagram like, wow, look at his life. Oh my God. He's got like 5 girls on his boat. I wish that was me. That's exactly what it would feel like to be a person who followed Dan Bilzerian. So like, whatever I was saying before, actually, about why I wouldn't follow him, that's actually why, okay? Like, it has nothing to do with Dan Bilzerian. I think he's got a good hustle going. But for me, personally, if I found myself scrolling his Instagram like, oh my gosh, he's got 5 girls in his mansion, that would just make me feel like a sorry ass, that I'm looking at some other man's life with envy. You know what I mean? So I would just never do it. But anyway, I guess it goes without saying that he has a very extravagant lifestyle per his social media, right? Lots of girls. I randomly have seen more of him lately because he's on TikTok. And as some of you might know, I have a decent sized following on TikTok. But so he would just randomly show up in my feed. And, you know, be laying in bed, smoking a joint with like 7 girls. You know, one of the girls will get up and she's in like a G-string. And, you know, I imagine that most guys look at that and they're like, oh my gosh, wow. Okay, you want to know what I think? I'm like, so what, is he banging all 7 of these girls? Like, that's a lot. That's a lot of girls to have in bed. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, if you're in bed with 2 girls, then I'd be like, oh, nice. That's fun. You know, 7 looks ridiculous. It's like, you're not banging all 7 of those girls. This is a show. Like, it's a show. Although, to the point where we're going, it is a show, right? He's marketing his brand. Now, we've talked about this. Have we not? Did we not talk about this actually like 2 days ago, right? Where I said, if you have a big enough brand, you know how easy it would be for me to create value if I had a following like that. Remember all of those things that I said, right? And apparently, Dan was spending more money on creating the following than he was on figuring out how to create a successful business out of it, because he raised 50 million. No, I'm sorry. He raised like $45 million or something like that. And he reported a $50 million loss for his marijuana business or his cannabis business. Okay, he just reported, we're talking like today, reported a $50 million loss. And he spent $46 million on marketing, okay? And let's just be clear, okay? What his marketing is going to the Maldives with 15 girls, taking pictures of them on boats, smoking joints. Like, it is the most genius thing ever, to be honest with you. Like, figuring out a way to make that a budget, like a marketing budget spend, absolutely genius, right? Absolutely genius. You hiring a bunch of booth girls to go travel on the road with you, smoke, go on a boat, you know, and then once you're off work, I mean, geez, I don't know, you know, only 3 of them, and only 3 of them went, whoopsie, I can't, I want to be on Instagram so bad, I just can't even think. And he's like, you want to be on my Instagram? They're like, yeah. He's like, all right, cool, here, why don't we watch a movie then tonight, you and your friend? I mean, it's genius, absolutely genius. But again, like I said, 7 girls in the bed, come on. That's for the suckers. That is for the busters, right? For the busters that are on his Instagram, they're like, oh my God. For a guy like me, I just look, I'm like, you're not banging 7 girls. Come on. Come on. Yeah, so apparently, so I was talking to my buddy about it, my friend Christian, who some of you guys met on the live stream, and he was like, yeah, maybe a corporate raider like his dad is actually going to go buy that thing out of bankruptcy and then chop it up. I'm like, wait, what? I had no idea that Dan Bilzerian was a trust fund kid, that his dad was like a huge like Wall Street scammer. I had no idea. I literally learned this 10 minutes ago. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go do a video about this. So again, this is not meant to hate on Dan Bilzerian. I mean, actually, it kind of is, only because of how could you lose? Like, how could your loss that you're reporting eclipse your marketing budget? Like, how could you, like, you spent 46 million on marketing and you lost 50 million? I mean, that is a bad look, man. That is a bad look for a cannabis business, which is, you know, either grow and sell or buy for 10, sell for 30. I mean, like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, it's a pretty straightforward business. There's no reason why a business like that, like, if you're going to lose, like, if you're going to have raised $44 million, you're going to lose 50. Okay. That money better have been going into infrastructure, right? Like, oh, well, yeah, we lost all that because we were building a larger facility. We were building a larger this. We were expanding our sales channel through blah, blah. Well, expanding our sales channel, you could actually qualify that as sales and marketing. But, like, there's no way that you can spend $46 million on, you know, things that are supposed to generate sales and then have a loss that eclipses that unless you were putting money into a bunch of other things, okay? So unless this article was written intentionally dishonestly, where they just didn't mention the fact that he also generated an additional $100 million in this and that, and they spent that on expanding infrastructure, and next year they're projecting to do, you know, have 80% growth in their revenue. I mean, you know, maybe that's the case. I don't know. That is certainly not the way that this article was written. So if that is the case, then take it up with whoever I wrote it on, which I believe was Zero Hedge. So yeah, that's my take on Dan Bilzerian's situation. But now let's talk about the more fun thing that I saved for later on purpose, because let's talk about Mia Khalifa. This is one of my favorite topics because it's so perfectly encapsulates my issue with this generation and everything that's going on. Okay. Like, if you are a person who wants to dedicate your life to actual social justice, like, and you're a true believer and you're like, I am looking to make society as equal as possible for people in terms of their opportunities, right? I want everyone to have the same opportunities as everyone else. I can get behind that. And I would love to actually sit down and strategize with you if you're a smart person. Okay. If you know what? We're not doing this. Okay. We are just going to say this. There is a subculture there that is suddenly not so sub, right? As much as they are not very good at logic, they are excellent at weaseling their way into institutions and then poisoning the minds of people around them with things like everyone's a victim, okay? This is what I honestly want to ask people. What do you think is the benefit of viewing yourself that way? Or even worse, telling other people to view themselves that way? What possible benefit could there be to them? Okay? You take two kids that are born in the same house, right? You separate them into two rooms and they both live their lives in the two rooms, right? They go to school, they come back, but the two of them have completely different messaging when they get home their entire childhood, right? One of them is like, listen, we don't have money, but you're one of the most talented, smartest kids I've ever seen. And you know what we do have? In this family, we work hard. We set goals and we're going to overcome anything that's in our way. Okay. I look at you, I see a future, whatever you want to do. The only thing you need to do is decide what that is and then work hard, and I will help you do that. Okay. That is what my promise to you is as a mentor, father, whatever I am in this scenario. I will help you. Okay. There are no victims in this family. Then in the other one, every day when they come home, you go, you know, the entire reason that we're in this place is because these people did this to us. And you know what? Everyone that looks like me and looks like you, we never had a shot. We never had a shot. And that's why I am complaining about it right now. We never had a shot. No matter what I would have done, I never would have been able to get ahead. And you know what? That's probably the case with you. It's probably the case with you. You were born without a shot. There's no way that you're ever going to be able to do anything with yourself. Okay? Now, let's take those two kids, assume that they have never shared ideas, right? Segregated ideas, and then they go out in life, and then let's see what they look like when they're 40 years old. Okay? Who would you bet on to have a better life, a better outlook on life? Smarter. I'm sorry, not smarter. Who's gonna have the happy family? Who's gonna have the good job? Who's gonna live their entire life angry, stone angry, because they never had a shot? Everything that's gone against them is the fault of someone else. It's not because of decisions they made. It's not because of things that they could have done that they didn't do. It's because they never had a chance versus a person who sees everything as an obstacle that they can fight their way over through, goal setting and persistence. Who is going to have the better life? So if you have an entire culture that's built around just perpetuating those ideas to everyone, what do you think you're doing? Why? Who are you helping? You're not helping anyone. You are the opposite of help. You are a toxic virus. You're a brain virus. You're going to destroy the lives of anyone that is in the group that you think that you tell yourself that you're helping. You are destroying their lives, poisoning their brains. That's what you're doing. That's what that ideology is, poisoning their brains. Okay. Now, no one says that in this room over here that you can't acknowledge, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. The history of this country, not that pretty, okay? You're going to have a lot of opportunity to look at things that happen to people that look like us and feel very upset about it, okay? And no one's saying that you shouldn't feel upset and you shouldn't feel attached to the narratives of the people who looked like you in the past. But the bottom line is right now, right this moment, you have to make a choice. Do you want to dwell there or you want to look forward and you want to focus on your life and your family's lives? Okay, no one's saying that this stuff doesn't matter. No one's saying that like the things that doesn't matter. What I'm saying, it's look forward, okay? I have always had the viewpoint that looking backwards, if you're doing it for any other reason than to improve what your go forward is a waste of your time and energy, okay? I know there are people that'll disagree with that. I don't care. I don't care what you think, okay? Because again, personal responsibility for my life, for my family. We're not looking backwards and looking for reasons to dwell on sadness, okay? We can look backwards and say, wow, that mistake we made cost us this. So let's not make that mistake again, okay? Looking backwards to go, that's why we're here and never have a chance, okay? So this is a long preamble leading me into Mia Khalifa, okay? So Mia Khalifa at age 21 is working at a Subway, okay? Like Subway sandwiches, not like Subway the train, okay? Subway sandwiches. So even sorrier than I apologize. Anybody who works at Subway, that's not what I meant. Just, she's not really doing much with her life at that point, right? She's 21 years old, she works at Subway. So someone comes in and they tell her that she's really hot. She's got an amazing body and they ask her if she's ever thought about doing porn. And Mia Khalifa, and listen, I'm going to just say something that I've seen. It's an observation that I have no idea if it actually impacted this thing, but this is something that I saw, okay? I saw old pictures of Mia Khalifa from when she was in high school. She was a thick girl, okay? Like she was thicker when she was younger than she ended up being when she was 21, okay? That's all. Take it for what it is. I think that she was kind of newly, much more attractive than she was before. So and the reason why that matters is like, you guys have seen my wife, okay? My wife looked like that when she was like 12, okay? So girls who look like that their whole life, they start to see people look at them that way when they're really young and they get used to it. It's not something that they, like some of them, it becomes their everything. Lots of them, like her, it can make them feel very uncomfortable, actually. Like, people they can feel it, dude. Like the way that like you feel like a guy when you see a girl like that and you're like, oh my God, Jesus. She just looks like a California roll. I just want to eat, or a T-bone steak. I'm starving. You think they can't feel that when guys look at them like that all the time? They can, obviously. And if you're a girl who is not like that, you think that they can't see you do that to other girls? They're like I'm telling you right now, the third most attractive girl in the room, who is always the third most attractive girl in the room, is so aware of what's going on around her with that kind of thing. It's amazing. They're super observant and they think it's something they want, okay? They look at that with envy, like they're like, and they might not even acknowledge that, might not even admit it. This is my thing, okay? They are envious of that. And so girls who go from that to being very attractive later, which happens a lot, right? Happens a lot. When guys start giving them that attention, they're not trained in it, right? Like they don't know how to handle it. Like it's like, oh my God, I've been waiting for this forever. Like you think I'm hot enough to do porn? Okay. Like I'm serious. Like and I don't know if that's Mia Khalifa for sure. I do know that is a phenomenon that is real. Okay, so she decides that she's going to do it. It's going to be her little secret. So she goes and does it. Now she's Lebanese. Okay, so these Bang Bros guys talked her into doing her first video with a hijab on. Okay, listen, that I will acknowledge was a suggestion that was pretty messed up. Like, she's 21 years old. You know she's Lebanese. Like, once she's there, I mean, you know, you're putting her in a tough spot to make her say no to that. I will acknowledge that is a pretty BS move for them to put that on her. Like, ask her to do that once she's there. And she's like, you guys are going to get me killed. And they're like, no, it'll be cool. Okay. But that's the only pass I'm giving her is the hijab thing. Okay. Doing the porn, she made that decision. Okay. I mean, she also made the decision to put the hijab on, right? But because she did it like that, it went gangbusters. Okay. It was incredibly popular. She became the most famous porn star in the world, like inside of doing like 3 or 4 videos. Here's the other thing. Okay. The reason that she was so popular was not because she was Lebanese, right? Like, a lot of people will say like, oh yeah, it was because it was this big juxtaposition between the, you know, fundamental, you know, Muslim culture and her doing pornographic films. Okay, no. I mean, maybe part of it was that. And by the way, let me tell you how little respect I have for that. Like that she, because this is the thing. I respect people who live by a code. Okay? If you live by a code, I don't care what the code is. I respect it. If you have people in your family who live by a code and you do something that disrespectful to that code, your sympathy for me is bye-bye, okay? If your family is Muslim or your family is from a Muslim country and you knew what that meant and you did that anyway, sorry. Like I said, I mean, it's a messed up thing that they put that in front of her in the first place, but that, I mean, that's on you, man. You're an adult. You're 21 years old. You should have known that is something you cannot do. And she did it anyway, right? So she does that. She does a bunch of videos. But the reason why she was popular, that wasn't that, okay? Might have been partially that, why people looked at her, you know, initially. The reason she was popular is because, okay, how do I say this without sounding like, okay, the whole thing that most girls who are in that industry do where, oh, yeah, nah, you know, oh, that whole deal, okay, that is not attractive, okay? There's nothing attractive about that, okay? No one wants you to hot talk them, right? Don't hot talk me. Don't like verbalize what is happening, right? Like, you don't need to say what you're doing or ask me or ask the dude if he likes what you're doing and then say exactly what you're doing and do it over and over and over as if you're a fembot, okay? That's not hot, okay? Don't hot talk me and don't like it. I would never, like, actually it might be kind of hot if my wife did it. Only because it would be so out of character. I'd be like, geez. Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, it was pretty hot actually. Anyway, neither here nor there. But like, you know, on like a short to strain, it's like, oh, FMP, daddy, FMP. It's like, ugh, blah, right? And yeah, she didn't do that. She did not do that at all. You know what she looked like in her videos? She looked like a 21-year-old who was working at Subway, who just came and found out. She's like, wow, I'm actually really enjoying myself. Like, this is, I like this. This is something that I am enjoying doing genuine. Like, I'm genuinely enjoying myself. That's hot, okay? Most guys who aren't crazy, that's what turns them on. A girl who is into it, okay? Like, it's not that, it's honestly, like, it's not rocket science, okay? All the most popular girls who perform in that industry are the ones who either really genuinely enjoy what they're doing or are so good at pretending that they know that they're enjoying themselves that you believe it, okay? And that's why she was popular, because she was that. And she had this look on her face that was, actually, I won't do that, but that's why she was popular, okay? So her family found out. They disowned her. I have daughters. There's nothing in my life that, like, I don't have anything in my life that could be disrespected as heavily as them wearing a hijab. Like, if I was Muslim and then she did that, like one of my daughters did that, there's literally nothing that I don't have anything that they could disrespect that much, but I certainly can relate to that reaction from her father. That's for sure. I mean, I don't know how you would shake that off. I really don't. But yeah, so that happened. And then ultimately she decided that she didn't want to do it anymore. So she claimed that she had only made $12,000, even though she was the #1, viewed download star in the world. Okay. And I watched an interview that she did in 2015 where I was like, wow, that's actually really cool. And speaking of daughters screaming, she even heard like daddy said something about me ever doing porn, and I screamed like a witch. And I'm like, that's right. Exactly correct. Anyway, but so she did this interview that I thought was awesome. Like, I really thought it was great. She's like, listen, I learned, this was when she started doing a podcast. She had just quit, right? She's doing a podcast, like she's doing well. Okay. She has 35 million followers on Instagram. Okay. 35 million followers. She's a huge star. Okay. What did I say about a following like that? How hard is it to make money if you're smart and you do that, right? So she was doing a podcast at the time, whatever. And she's like, listen, I learned the hard way that like, I thought it was going to be my little secret and it blew up in my face. She's like, and some mistakes are written in pen. You can't erase them. She's like, but listen, these were my decisions, the decisions that I made. It's no one else's fault. And I was like, wow. And she's like, I just hope no one makes the same mistake I did. And I was like, wow, that is really cool. Like, there's no face on. Like, that is cool. That is a good message to get out to people. If you've gone through it, you got, seduced into doing it. You took the money. You decided afterwards that, she said that she feels like everyone can see through her clothes all the time. I don't doubt that at all. I would imagine that's probably exactly how she feels. And so she tried to tell people not to make the same mistake. And she said, she owned it. It's my fault. Okay. Good for you, Mia Khalifa. Really. Then fast forward to 2020. Okay. And on TikTok, all of a sudden, I'm watching these videos of hers that are like, these girls are like, Mia Khalifa was manipulated into doing porn. She only made 12, that literally just completely rewrote the whole thing to where she was manipulated. She was a victim. Those words used, manipulated, victim used. And this is Mia Khalifa, like duetting with them and then quoting it and then being like, oh my God, thank you guys so much for the support. And she stopped wearing makeup too, which is fine. I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I couldn't figure it out. I was like, that's so weird because she was always really, really dolled up. So her whole story is that she was completely the victim of this entire thing. And then she's going to sue Pornhub and get she's going to sue Bang Bros and sue Pornhub, get everything taken down. Like, and I'm literally looking at this. I'm like, how can you go from publicly saying I'm owning this thing to 4 or 5 years later deciding that you're a victim, and all that is the brain virus. It is the brain virus. Okay. How is that helping Mia Khalifa? Okay. First of all, so here's what happened today. So the Bang Bros guys released a bunch of information. Turns out, first of all, she didn't make $12,000. She made about $170,000. Moderate difference, right? Just a little bit different. Like, 15 times different, right? And it turned out she had a long relationship with the company after she was doing cam shows, after she said she had quit porn. Like, just the whole thing is just nonsense. Like, her whole I was a victim thing is just not true. Like, I mean, she'd already admitted that wasn't true, but just not true, right? And it just, again, it's like, just take responsibility, right? Like, no, I'm not even judging. I'm not judging you for doing porn. That's completely up to you. Do whatever you want to do. Just don't say it's someone else's fault afterwards, okay? And don't anyone else tell me that Mia Khalifa was a victim, because guess what? Mia Khalifa was a porn star stage name. Is it still her name? Yes, okay? She changed her name to a porn star stage name, Mia Khalifa. Her name, currently, Mia Khalifa, okay? So don't tell me that you're distancing yourself from porn when you have 35 million followers as a result of your porn career and you've remained named Mia Khalifa, okay? Just don't bother with that because it's just ridiculous. It's a ridiculous position to take. So the bottom line is this: don't be a victim. Don't tell people they're victims unless they've actually been victimized. You can tell them it's okay to be a victim, but that is in very rare scenarios, right? Like, if someone's really been a victim, there should be no room for interpretation, okay? None. Victim is someone was drugged, held down, okay? Taken advantage of when they were blacked out drunk and literally could not make a decision. If a person is capable of making a decision when something happens, if they made a decision which led to it, not a victim, okay? Not a victim. I mean, obviously you could think of some hypotheticals that would be exceptions to that rule, but 99 out of 100 times, if a decision was made that led to that, you're not the victim, okay? If someone did it to you against your will, then you could talk about it, okay? That's not that. It's just not that. So that's what I got. If you like the channel, subscribe and ring the bell. What's up? Nobody's breaking it down like me. Peace. Subscribe, ring the bell. Don't forget.